Shrishtam manamapi Vaishachiputram Atra Swarupam Rupam Tasyakacha Muri Purim Maturim Ushtuatim Radha Kundamagirivaram Ahorarika Madhvasam Praptoyasya Pratita Kripaya Shri Guru Tam Natosmi Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikai Tadalai Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namah Anandalilamaya Vigrahaya Premabhadivyachavi Sundaraya Tasmai Mahapremarasapradaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Sham Sundar Skanda Shikhar Smarhas Murali Manohara Radhikar Sukamama Kripa Nidhe Supriya Charna King Kurim Kuru Tavayavasmi Na Jivami Tuyabina Iti Vikaya Devi Tam Namam Charantikam. First of all, I offer my Sastan Dandavat Puspanjali, my heart like flowers thousands and thousands of times at the lotus feet of my holy master, my supremely worshipable spiritual Gurudev, Asmatiya Paramaradatam Guru Pada Padma, Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Vishnupad, Ashtotara Satasri Rupanugacharya Varya, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. Secondly, I offer my Sastang Dandavat Puspanjali thousands of times at the lotus feet of my Param Gurudev, to Srila Prabhupada, and to all of our Sri Rupanuga Gaudiya Guru Parampara. And finally, I offer my pranam to all the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, Vancha Kalpaturvista, Vasandu Vyavaja, Putitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo. Gurudev ki jai. By the causeless mercy of Sri Guran Gauranga, this blessed and rare and precious opportunity has come to hear Harikatha. Srila Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami Pad here said, Siddhanta Buliya Chittena Koroelas Jahoite Krishna Lagi Sudrida Manas. The meaning is, one should not avoid the philosophical discussion, saying, oh, I just want to love Krishna. I just want to love Krishna. And so, this discussion, this is Siddhanta, this is philosophy, this is metaphysics. What does this have to do with love? So, Siddhanta Biliya Chitina Karo Alas. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is saying, don't say, oh, this is philosophy. I'm not interested in this. I just want to love Krishna. Na karo alas means don't be lazy. Alas means laziness. Don't be lazy. Why? Jahuite Krishna lagi sudhraminas. When we hear Siddhanta, philosophical explanation of Shastra from the lips of Sri Guru, from a pure Vaishnava who has the Divya Anubhuti, divine realization, then our Sudradamanas, our heart will become Sudra, very firm. It will become fixed completely on Krishna. This is the problem. You see, love for Krishna is not a material emotion. You cannot love Krishna by trying to put yourself into a state of emotional hypertrophy. Oh, yes, more love, more love. Try. You cannot do it. It is not an emotional state of the mind or intellect or anything. It is a prakrita, transcendental, supernatural. And so, unless the chitta, the heart becomes completely steady, pacified and undisturbed by Vishaya chodiya kabe shuddha hobe mana kabe hamahe rabo Sri Vrindavan. Vishaya chodiya kabe shuddha hobe man. When my chitta, my heart is a shuddha, that means nirvikar, not oscillating, not modifying, not in a state of fluctuation, turbulence, then I will have the darshan of Vrindavan Dham. Otherwise not. It's not possible. Therefore, Jahoiti Krishna lagi sudra manas. It's true. We want to build the very tall Rasa Mahal, the palace of Rasa, the beautiful ornamental palace of Rasa. We want to build this. But if you want to build a huge palace, you have to have a deep foundation. If the foundation isn't deep, if the foundation isn't strong, then if you try to construct something, what will happen? It will eventually, some cracks will appear and it will fall down. So, Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj, he used to say, if you follow only emotion, then you will get demotion. You'll go down. Because the material emotions are actually just psychological turbulence. And so if you mistake this for love for Krishna, then this turbulence is never steady. So you easily become prey to the allurements of sense gratification in the material world. So if you follow emotion, you'll get demotion. So you have to understand what is actual devotion. And then you can get promotion. So Siddhanta Bile Chite Nakaralas Jahoite Krishna Lagi Sudrita Manas. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur said, when we hear very powerful Harikatha from the lips of Sri Guru, it is so powerful, we begin to wake up and understand we are in this temporary world where everything is in a state of flux. There is nothing solid here. It is just as if you are dropped in the middle of quicksand. There's nothing to hold on to because everything you touch just gives away. There's no shelter, there's no support anywhere. anywhere. And when a person realizes that there's no shelter, there's no support, there's no security anywhere in this world, then Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, it's his 150th anniversary. And we want to glorify Prabhupada and his beautiful Katha. Then he said, and then when you realize that, then you will wet your couch with tears. He's quoting from the Psalms. You will weep piteously. Alas, alas. Just as we sang in the song Jai Jai Shri Guru. Duramati agati, asati satatamati. Duramati, I have a wicked mind which is always moving towards the external sense objects. Duramati, agati, and I have no refuge anywhere. Satata asatamate, and my consciousness, satata, is continuously going in asat, into temporary things. Naha, nahi sukriti lavalesha, I don't have even a slight trace of pious activities. So I am bereft. Sajjana varicha, I am bereft of high-class association. So one will weep like this. And then Prabhupada said, Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, he knew all Vedic Shastras and all religious scriptures of the world and all literature of the world. He said, and then when you weep, then your mind will become like a scorpion girt by fire. Now he's quoting from Lord Byron, but the poet, English poet. Like a scorpion girt by fire. This means that if you surround a scorpion with fire, then what does he do?
Kills himself.
Yeah, he turns his sting on himself and dies. And so, when a person realizes that they have no shelter in this world and they weep and take shelter of Sri Guru, then the mind, the mature mind, becomes a scorpion girt by fire. Samsara gavanalali loka. This mature world is like a blazing forest fire of material existence. And that the mind is like a scorpion girt by fire means that he stings himself and passes away, expires. Means that our subtle body, the mind, intelligence, and ego has to die. So we offer it into the fire of Sankirtan. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And then what is left? Our pure chitta. Pure chitta. Our soul. Do you understand the meaning of word chitta? Yes. Our soul is covered by a gross body, 5 elements, earth, water, fire, air, and ether, and the subtle body. The subtle body is the chitta, ahankar, buddhi, and manas. These 4 elements, and pran, which is activating them. So, the mind, the intelligence, the ego, they will be dissolved because they are only contaminated transformations of chitta. So when chitta becomes purified, Chaitanya-Darshana, the chitta is purified by chanting, then just as in creation, first chitta comes, and then ahankar, pran, ahankar, buddhi, manas, they come one after another as the chitta degrades by the influence of the gunas. So there's like the reverse engineering of the creation. The elements dissolve back into their origins. And then only inside is the purified chitta. Chaitanya-Darshana. This purified chitta is like a mirror, Mahaprabhu says. And then when we chant the holy name, we can easily attain by Krishna's mercy the reflection of his beautiful form in the heart. First his form and then qualities, then associates, and then your own spiritual form and services, and Yoga Pit Seva in Vrindavan, and then Astakaliya Leela. Like this, everything, realization unfolds one by one. But we'll have to our mind will have to be like the scorpion girt by fire. So we cannot be attached, we cannot have a tight grip on this personality that we think this is me. Our conventional, empirical ego. The conventional, empirical ego of our identity, our worldly identity. This is not us. This is just a handful of samskars which are activated at the moment. After some time, they'll become deactivated and others will be activated. Even within this life, person changes. You may know someone one day, and then 20 years later, it's like they're another person. Because different impressions are being activated and becoming dormant. Like this. Prakriti in Gita, Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna says, Prakriti, Purusho, Prakriti, Stohi. The Purush, that means the Atma, is situated in Prakriti. Bhunte Prakriti Janguna. And he's trying to enjoy the three gunas. Karna Guru Sangosya Sadasat Yoni Janmasu. And by the association with the gunas, he takes birth in pious and impious situations. So according to our association, then we get new impressions, and old impressions become dormant, and other impressions from previous lives become manifest again. And in this way, the jiva is moving, sometimes in pious life and sometimes in impious life, in samsara chakra, the endless cycle of birth and death. So, there has to be an ego death. By offering the mind fully into the fire of Nam Sankirtan. In this book of Prabhupada Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, we've published Gaudiya-Darshana. There's a beautiful explanation of hearing. Bhakti has many angas, but all bhakti begins with Sravanam, hearing. But the way that the word Sravanam is used among Vaishnavas, and the way it is used among the common people, general people, in everyday life, is not the same. And so there are different levels of Vaishnavas. The first level, Kanishta Adhikaris or Prakrita Bhaktas, they read books and they discuss bhakti, the subject of bhakti, and they're using words, but they understand the words that they're using in the same conventional way as the general persons, hearing, chanting, remembering. But this is not the true Shastric meaning. It is said, Yasya deve parabhakti yatha deve tathagaro tasyaiti katita hyata prakashante mahatmana. Only to a person who has parabhakti, natural, spontaneous devotion to God, and as they have love for Krishna, they have a same, not less devotion to Gurudev. In fact, it's better to have more love for Gurudev than Krishna. So only to those persons, then Tasyaiti katita hyata prakashante mahatmana. The actual meaning of the scripture becomes illuminated in the heart. Only to those persons. So someone can say, I read this sentence, I read this verse. Yes, I understood it. But Shastra is saying, no. Until we have spontaneous love for Krishna and equal, if not more, for Guru, then we don't understand what is written there. So those are in the first stage of devotion. Those who have faith, those who have some begin their sadhu sangha, they're doing bhajana kriya, practicing, they're trying to go through anartha-vritti and come to steadiness. All of those in those stages cannot understand Shastra. Even the Madhyam Adhikari, when he comes to Nishta, becomes Madhyam Adhikari. Then he knows so many things, but cannot reconcile everything. Only when Ruchi comes and he becomes Uttam Adhikari. Uttam Adhikari in the Pancharatrik Marg, in Archan Marg, he's a Uttam Adhikari. But in Bhagavad Marg, he's just entering into Madhyam Bhagavat. So the levels of Vaishnav, Kanishta Adhikari, Madhyam Adhikari, Uttam Adhikari, these are given for Pancharatrik Marg, for the path of Archan, Vaidhi Bhakti. But what Krishna has described about Prakrit Bhakta, Madhyam Bhagavat and Uttam Bhagavat, it's another, they don't correspond. This is, those who are Uttam Adhikaris in Vaidhi Bhakti are practically Kanishtas. Barely. They're just entering into the Madhyam Bhagavat stage in the Raga Marg, in the path of spontaneous devotion. So, until Ruchi comes, we mentioned this verse yesterday. Swalpa pi ruchi eva syat bhakti tattva vabodhika. Until Ruchi comes, cannot understand bhakti tattva. Then how will we understand? Sravanam, by hearing. But it has to be real hearing. So this is, I just want to discuss this point. What is real hearing? In this world, when we want to learn a subject, we go to some type of educational establishment. And we attend the class and we listen every day. And we learn, we collect some, as we're listening, we collect some information, pieces of information. And gradually we put these pieces of information and we build the structure of our understanding of that subject, our conceptual structure of that subject. So this is the way we learn. Everyone knows. So this method of learning is called Kram Vikasita, Kram Purvak Vikasita Gyan. Kram means a sequence. Purvak. Kram Purvak. It is a field. It consists of a sequence, Vikasita Gyan, of knowledge, which is Vikasita. It gradually develops, it gradually grows by collecting pieces of information. Now the problem is this. Krishna is not like any person or anything that someone in this world has experienced. He is Vadanti Tattva Vidas Tattvam Kyat Jnanam Advayam. He is the Advaya Gyan Tattva. That means the Advaya, non-dual, conscious reality. Advaya Gyan Tattva. He is beyond duality. He is Akhanda, Acheda, Abheda. He's an indivisible reality. So because the reality of Krishna is a divine, non-dual, indivisible reality, he has no parts. And therefore, you cannot learn about Krishna in pieces like that. We don't develop our understanding of Krishna by bits of theoretical knowledge. My Gurudev used to say, theoretical knowledge means no knowledge. If you have a concept, just a concept in your mind, theoretical knowledge is no knowledge. What is knowledge? Realization is knowledge. Because realization means the appearance of the non-dual reality in the consciousness. That is actually knowledge. So actual hearing means when the Shabda Brahma comes from the lips of Sri Guru and pierces the material covering of the sense of hearing. This is called the Karna Bhed Sanskar. Karna Bhed Sanskar. Just like a child at a certain age, usually it's the age when they take their first grains, the first grain ceremony. At the same time as the first grain ceremony, there's the ear piercing ceremony. Karna Bhed Sanskar. So, this is only symbolic of the process of Diksha. In real Diksha, there is Karna Bhed Sanskar, that means the ear piercing ceremony, that Sri Guru, by transcendental sound of mantra, pierces the material covering of the sense of hearing. And then that divine sound becomes manifest to the cognition, to the pure cognition of the soul. And that is actual hearing. So hearing and realization takes place simultaneously. Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur has made a very beautiful analysis of the hearing. First of all, he discusses that there are 6 classical systems of philosophy in India. Nyaya, Vaisheshik, Sankhya, Yoga, Yoga Sutras, Purva-mimamsa, Uttara-mimamsa, that is Vedanta. So there are 6 systems. And the philosophers of each system have a different idea of how we attain knowledge. So, all philosophical discussion, it begins with epistemology. Epistemology. If a discussion does not begin with epistemology, that is, how do we know that something is true? How do we attain knowledge? Then it's really dishonest. It's a deceitful system of discussion. That's why today you see most discussions, they're not actually philosophical discussions, they're ideological discussions. The difference between philosophy and ideology is floating in the air. It has no roots anywhere. Because ideology is a conception of life which has no connection with epistemology. There's no discussion of why our basic assumptions must be true. We all know that they're true. And let's have the conversation. Let's quickly rush out the door and discuss this without even discussing, well, are our, deeply held convictions about the nature of reality even true in the first place? No, they're not. These things are important to know, especially if you're preaching to educated people and in colleges and things like this. You have to know the difference between philosophy and ideology. So, epistemology, we have to start with epistemology. How do we know that something is true? So, when we discuss, we use language. We use words and we hear it and we understand it. So, even before we go into philosophy and ideology, we're using language. How do we understand what we're saying to each other? So among the philosophers, the subject was bifurcated into 2 main schools. There are also some nuances within them, but 2 main schools. The Spotvad school of the grammarians, the Vaikaranas, such as the Panini, Patanjali, and the Vyakyapadya also. And on the other side, there you have the Varnavad school, the followers of Jaimini Rishi's Purva-mimamsa and Kumara Bhatta. And the Vyakyapadya is written by Bhartrihari. So throughout history, you have from the ancient days, Panini, Patanjali, and Bhartrihari, and then coming more to medieval times, Bhartrihari, and then on the other side, in the ancient times, Jaimini Rishi, and then the competitor of Bhartrihari, Hari's interpretation of sound, that is the Kumara Bhatta. So on one side, Spotvad, on the other side, Varnavad. So we don't accept either of these schools. These are not our conclusion. But this is the way that philosophers, we have to understand what is the wrong idea. By contrasting the wrong idea with the correct idea will come into focus. So, the Spotvad school presented this idea. You cannot have a racing mind. You cannot be passionate. You cannot be chugging cappuccino and be stimulated. You have to slow down and consider this. They said that when we hear any word like Agni, we hear each letter one by one. Ni, Agni. And so this sound is coming and it's going into the ear and you hear each syllable one by one. Now the question is, what makes the experience, what causes the vritti in our consciousness that creates the image of fire? Agni means fire. So if I say Agni, you immediately think fire, right? How does that happen? Does it happen by the individual syllables? If you hear A, then A doesn't mean fire. If you hear G, it doesn't mean fire. If you hear N, I, it doesn't mean fire. So the individual syllables by themselves don't tell us what is meant to be conveyed here. And you can say, well, no, all together, from the syllables all together, we have the idea of fire. But the school of the Spotvad school say, but you never hear the syllables all at the same time. Just slow down. Okay, it's over. And then that sound disappears. Disappears, it's gone. And then go, and then that disappears. And then ni, and then that disappears. So, because on the one hand, the individual syllables don't give you the impression, and the combination of the syllables never happens, they would all have to come out of the mouth at the same time. But we don't have 3 mouths to say ni at the same time. So how does that consciousness put it all together? And we have this experience of fire. What does that? So the Spotvad schools say that when someone speaks, then each syllable produces, there's something called spot, and this spot is eternal. It eternally exists. It's everywhere. It's the basis of all existence. They think that this spot is the basis of all, and it's everywhere. And when a person speaks, then some aspect of that spot manifests. And as they say the syllables agni, then there's the spot of the varna spot, the spot of the letter, and then the spot gets stronger when you hear the next letter, and stronger when you hear the next letter, and then you have pada spot. And that's it. It's like a flash of inspiration in the heart, and it says fire. It illuminates the meaning. So there are 3 stages in this. As the person is speaking, then the sound which is coming, there is some deeper level of sound called spots, which begins to manifest in the consciousness. And that spot illuminates the meaning to you. So there are 3 stages. Now, the Varnavad school says, no, we disagree with that. Why are you saying that there's this transcendental thing called spot? This light of meaning which is everywhere, a subtle form of sound which illuminates the consciousness when you utter the syllables. We don't accept that because 1, it's never been perceived. No one has perceived the spot. People only perceive the meaning which is illuminated by the spot. So, the Varnavad schools say, first of all, no one has perceived it. And if you say that the spot illuminates the meaning in your consciousness, then we say something that you cannot perceive cannot illuminate anything. For example, if you're in a dark room and there's a chair in the room, in the dark you cannot see it. So then when you introduce a candle, now you can see the chair because it's been illuminated by the candle. But if you couldn't see the candle, then you wouldn't see the chair. So if you say there's this imperceptible thing called spot, which gives you the understanding of the meaning of the words, then if it's imperceptible, then it would not be able to illuminate the meaning in your consciousness as well. This is the Varna. Actually, on both sides, there are so many arguments. We already said the arguments against Varnavad because the spot say, well, individual syllables don't give you the meaning and they're never combined in time. Only you think they're combined because you're basically in Rajagun, and you're not thinking deeply about the nature of sound. So these two schools, they're in competition with each other, they're quarreling with each other. So the Varnavada school says, no, this is what happens. When someone taught you, this is a table. So this sound, table, made a samskar in your heart, in your chitta. And then, next time when someone said table, the syllables, table, then this samskar manifested in your heart and you connected it with your previous experience. Understand? And so, when you hear sound, it's actually a function of like memory. Your buddhi, your memory is working in such a way. For example, if I say a word that you've never heard before, you don't understand the meaning. Right? If I just say something like Motaita Bhav, right? So what's that? Does it mean anything to you? No. But if someone explained it, then the next time someone said Motaita, you hear the syllable, and then that samskar will come up. So in Varnavad, they say that by some experience an impression comes, and then when you hear Varna, the syllables, then there is that samskar is awakened. That is the function of memory, and now you connect. Oh yes, this word means this. So, and because of that, the Varnavad school, they say that another argument against Spotvad is that if when someone just says the syllables, then this pot manifests and then illuminates the meaning in the heart of the person, then a person would naturally understand the meaning of a word even if they'd never been taught it. Understand? So that's another argument from the Varnavad school against the Spotvad school. So then the Spotvadis, they make an argument against the Varnavad school. And they say, you've got millions of impressions in your chitta. Then, if someone says a word, how does your intelligence locate which word it is? What's the retrieval system? Right? There has to be a retrieval system. And so we can say, because according to Vedanta, the deep meaning of every word is God. Every word actually is a name for God. That's in Vedanta Sutra. Characharo vyapasrayas tusyat tad vyapadesho bhaktas tad bhava bhavitvat. The direct primary meaning of every word refers to God. Primarily. And secondarily, it refers to whatever we conceive of it to mean in our everyday experience. But Tatbhava Bhavitvat means you will understand that in the future when your sadhana is mature. So the illustration is Nimai Pandit, our Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When he came back from Gaya, he'd been initiated. He had the Karna Bhed Sanskar. His ear was pierced by the divine sound. And when he came back to teach in the Sanskrit school, then every word, every letter, every syllable, every grammatical case, every conjugation, he said it means Krishna. He wasn't saying it by doing some clever grammatical trick to make it mean Krishna. He was actually experiencing the nature of all sound. Actually, all sound reveals the truth to a person who is not in Maya. But all sound, even the descriptions of Krishna, are Maya to a person who is in Maya. This is why it is said, Vaishnavopadishtena, don't listen to Harikatha from a person who is not a pure Vaishnava, because it's like milk touched by the lips of a serpent. It's still, it may be Gita, it may be Bhagavatam, but it's poison. Why? You see? Because all sound reveals the truth. For one whose ear has been pierced by the divine mantra of Guru. And for those who have not surrendered and realizing the nature of sound, then all sounds, they have the mic face, an illusory face. So, coming to this point, so on a deeper level, the word spot means Bhagavan, Ishwara. It means Ishwara, Paramatma. Why? Because the Varnavardis are saying, when you hear a word, the word itself does not produce the spot which teaches you the meaning, which illuminates the meaning to you. But rather, you have samskars in your heart from previous experience. When the sound comes, then there's a connection between that memory and the sound. Then you remember what the word is. And then the Spotvardi can say, but there must be a spot which illuminates that sanskar. Right? There has to be a flash of inspiration. Let's say someone taught you a word 20 years ago and you forgot. And today they use the same terminology and you don't know what it means. You have some vague idea or something. Why? Because your memory is not functioning. So what does Krishna say in the Bhagavad Gita? Savasya chaham buridhi sanivisto matahak smiti jnanam aponam cha. I am situated in the heart of everyone and I give matasmriti. From me comes memory. So the ability to remember a word that you'd previously learned, where does that come from? Yes, Paramatma. Paramatma. So that retrieval system of the meaning, even if someone goes for Varnavard understanding, but there has to be a spot, that means an illumination coming from somewhere to retrieve the meaning. And so the meaning of spot here means Ishvara Paramatma. The Lord illuminates the meaning, and that's how your memory works. Without the super soul in the heart, our memory doesn't function. And as a person gets older, one can experience that there are things that you don't remember anymore. Because he said, Matasmiti Jnanam upon, I give remembrance, I give knowledge, and also forgetfulness. So Krishna gives memory sometimes in accordance with our karma. That means Paramatma gives memory sometimes in accordance with our karma, and takes it away when it's not our karma to know or understand that anymore. And so you see people get old, they become senile, they get dementia, and everything. He gives and he takes away. Paramatma is doing it. So these are some of the discussions of the nuance of how we understand things. However, though that understanding that we remember according to our sanskar, but with the role of Paramatma in it, that is correct for the general person. But that understanding that you get from your sanskar is not actually the true meaning of sounds. That's not the true meaning of sounds. So, now we'll come to briefly analyze the meaning of sound. When you hear a word, you can take mukhya vritti, that is called abheda vritti, the direct meaning. Shishi Gauranitai ki jai. You can take the direct meaning of a word. That is the mukhya vritti, the primary meaning. We can say also the abheda vritti. Abhidhan is a dictionary. So what's the dictionary meaning of the word? Then there is lakshan vritti, the associated meaning. Then vyanjan vritti, that is the suggested meaning, the implication. For example, if we say, this is my house. Then it's direct. This is my house. Direct meaning we can take. But if you tell someone asks you, where is your house? You say, my house is on the Ganga. Then you don't take the direct meaning. Because you can't build a house on the water in the middle of the Ganges. So when you hear, my house is on the Ganga, then your mind doesn't take the direct dictionary meaning, it takes lakshana vritti. That means an associated meaning. So you think, my house is on the Ganga has banks, and so he really means to say, my house is on the bank of the Ganga. So we do it naturally. And we speak like this all the time.
It's like second nature. It's not even.
Of course. Of course. If someone will say something like, Tehran has declared war on Jerusalem or something. But Tehran is not a person. He can't declare war on anything. It's a place. Right? So what we do, we use places to refer to a person or a group of people or whatever. We do it all the time. So we take associated meanings all the time. Just like if I say to you, oh, raise your hand, raise your hand, raise your hand. Why did you do that? I never said, raise your arm. You should have just gone like this. But because you took the Lakshan-vritti, you raised your arm. Right? You didn't take the meaning of hand. Otherwise, you say, raise your hand, you just go. But you went like this. See? So we do it all the time. And then there is the Vyanjan-vritti, that's the implied meaning. So poetry is like this, just like yesterday. We were singing so many verses spoken by the gopis. And what they really mean to say, they don't say. They say something else. But there are implications in it. That's the Vyanjan-vritti. So especially Kavya, poetry, is filled with Vyanjan-vritti. The Srimad Bhagavatam is a masterpiece of Vyanjan-vritti. And this is why just by reading it, no one can understand it, because the meaning is not directly the words, but it's in the implications of the words, the emotions behind them, the suggestions. So for example, if someone says, oh, I'd like to visit you, how can I get there? And then someone says, oh, my house is on the Ganga. The meaning is, you can go by boat. He doesn't say you can go by boat, but that's what he means. So, just like if a student, he said, oh, Gurudev, he says to his teacher in school, oh, teacher, oh, it's becoming late now. But the meaning is, this class is so boring, we don't want to go. Right? Because if the class was so good, they wouldn't say that it's now time to end. This is Vyanjan-vritti, the suggested meaning. So now we understood. Come back to the first one, the Abheda-vritti, the dictionary meaning. So the dictionary meaning can be of three types. The first one is called Ruddhi-vritti or Ruddhi-vritti. No, I'll explain that afterwards. I'll say Yogic-vritti first, and then it will be easier for you to understand. So Yogic-vritti means the meaning which is etymological. It is how is this word, what is the etymological derivation? How is this word derived etymologically? And we understand it in that way. For example, if you say, yesterday, Narasingha Prabhu was Pachak. Pachak. That means the cook. So Pachaka comes from pach dhatu, the verbal root pach, to cook. So from the verbal root pach, to cook, he is pachaka. So you understand it means you are the cook. Because this word cook has come from the verb to cook, pachaka. That's the etymological root. Just like a wolf is a vrika. Vrika means to tear. So who tears you apart with his teeth is a vrika. So this is etymological. That's called Yogic-vritti. Then you have Ruddhi-vritti. Ruddhi-vritti is the conventional meaning. Conventional meaning, that means when you hear it, you accept this is the meaning, even though the etymology may mean something else. For example, if you make a pandal in the garden, and there's some raised area where you're going to perform some ceremony or something, this is called a mandap. This is called a mandap. So, mandap, the etymology of mandap is mandam pati. Mandam means ornaments, and pati means one who protects. So mandapa means one who protects the ornaments. No, it does. No one's going to take it. Oh, go outside to the mandap. You never think there's someone outside protecting the ornaments. You think that there's a pandal there for some ceremony to take place. So here, the Rudibriti is that you take a conventional meaning. You take the conventional meaning of the word and you disregard the etymology. Then the third type is called Yoga Rudibriti. Yoga Rudibriti means there's a combination of etymology and the conventional meaning. The word Rudi means like natural, the raw natural meaning. So now Yoga Rudibriti is a combination of the etymology and the conventional meaning. For example, Pankaj. What does Pankaj mean?
Lotus.
Lotus flower. But what does Panka and Ja mean?
Panka is mud.
Yes.
Born from mud.
Pank means mud and Ja means born from mud. But if you go to a swamp, how many things are born from the mud? So many things. There are many things growing there in the mud, not only lotus flowers. So when I say Pankaj, why does your mind become filled with all kinds of stuff growing in the swamp? Why? Because conventionally, it's a convention. We tend to always use this word Pankaj, and we know that it means there is a consensus about the fact that Pankaj doesn't mean everything that grows in a swamp, but Pankaj means that which is born from mud. It is the lotus flower. Like this. So here, three types of ways we interpret words. Just the conventional way, then by etymology, or sometimes by a combination of convention and etymology. Now, the Rudibriti, the direct conventional meaning of the words, the natural way in which you accept the meaning of the word, this is also divided into three types. Vidvat Rudibriti, Vidvad Rudibriti. Vidvat means, Vritti means the power of the word to convey meaning. In other words, when you hear the sound, it causes a vritti in your mind and you understand what it means. So the Rudibriti, which is of the Vidvans, learned persons, here does not mean pandits and scholars. Here in Vidvat Rudibriti, the Vidvans means pure devotees who have realization of Sri Krishna, the Advaya-Gyan-Para-tattva. Not just some clever person who knows Sanskrit grammar or anything. Means fully realized persons. So Vidvat Rudibriti means the power of the word to manifest Advaya-Gyan, non-dual awareness. That is awareness. It is not something that we experience in our waking state, in our sleeping state, or in deep sleep. It is the Chaturya. It is the fourth state. It is a fourth state of consciousness, Advaya-Gyan. So that sound vibration, that meaning of the word, in which the Advaya-Gyan, non-dual consciousness is uncovered completely, that is called the Vidvat Rudibriti. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Kirtaniya Sadahari, Kirtan should always go on. He never intended that a sound should be spread here and there, which would cover Advaya-Gyan. Here, Sravanam. When Mahaprabhu said Kirtaniya Sadahari, one should continuously always chant the holy name. It was not his intention that the world would be covered the world would be filled with a vibration that would cover Advaya-Gyan. In other words, everyone would hear it and still be in bodily consciousness and still experiencing dualities. When he said Kirtaniya Sadahari, it meant this vibration should go everywhere, which is a Shuddhanam, the pure name. And those who are hearing, they should be surrendered. And therefore only surrendered persons who have given up Swatantrata, the sense of independence, and are completely in the refuge of Gurudev, Gurupad Ashray, then that sound can enter their ear and they directly experience the Advaya-Gyan-Para-tattva, the non-dual and conscious reality. That is the meaning of Kirtaniya Sadahari. because it comes after Trinadapi Sunichena, not before. First Trinadapi Sunichena, be more humble than a blade of grass, that is, give up ahankar, give up the Kartritra happy man, the sense of being the doer, the Swatantra Bhav, independent mentality. Otherwise you cannot do Kirtaniya Sadahari, that is, experience the Advaita-abheda-tattva continuously in the Shabda Brahma, the transcendental sound. So this is the stage we must come to, and that is actual real hearing. So Vidvat Vritti Vritti is the meaning of the word as it is directly revealed into the heart of a devotee who is hearing pure transcendental sound from a pure devotee. That is the Vidvat Vritti Vritti. Now we come to the Sadharan Vritti Vritti. The Sadharan Vritti Vritti, Sadharan means ordinary. And so if there's an ordinary person who's educated and understands grammar and nirukti, etymology and so on, when they hear the word, the power of the word that causes one's intellect to do dharan, to concentrate on the meaning of the word as it is conventionally understood throughout society, is called Sadharan Vritti Vritti. So those who are more sattvic persons, when they speak, they use their language very precisely. They have a particular meaning, and those who are similar to them can understand what they mean. But they are still within this confines of the material plane. They are educated persons materially. So this is also one aspect of Maya. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur said that Jat Vidya Mayara Parabhav. It is the influence of Maya. Material education is the influence of Maya, and it turns the living entity into an ass, into a donkey. Because he thinks, I am so educated. I am a professor. I have a degree. I have an MA. I have 2 MAs. I have PhD. I can teach others. I am very educated. But what is he educated in? Sadharan Vritti Vritti. He has never experienced or been touched by the Vidvat Vritti Vritti of the Advaya Gyan Tattva. And that is why Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur made a school next to the Yoga Pit. It was the Bhaktivinoda Institute. It was a school, and above the door of the school there was this verse. Jata Vidya Mayara Parabhav. Of this poem of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Material knowledge turns you into an ass. It is the influence of the illusory material energy. So every student who went to study in the Bhaktivinoda Thakur Institute would be reminded as they walk through the door. So we have the same poem above the door of Chaitanya Academy in Venice. You've seen it. So, in a Venice temple. So, then the next level of Vritti Vritti is called Agya Vritti Vritti. Agya Vritti Vritti, Agya means the ignorant persons. In other words, those who are in the modes of passion and ignorance, their consciousness has contracted. Their chitta has contracted. And therefore, when they hear a sound, they understand a contracted meaning of the words that gives rise to the conventions and customs of Rajasic and Tamasic society. So the Rajasic and Tamasic people, they understand each other. The way they speak and everything, they know what they mean when they talk to each other. Whereas someone who's more educated, maybe speaking is the same, but he can't understand this. The way they talk to each other, the slang that they use, the expressions they use. But they definitely cannot understand the educated persons. So you have Vidvat Vritti Vritti, which uncovers the Advaya Gyan. Then you have Sadharan Vritti Vritti, which causes the buddhi to do dharana, concentrate on the meaning of words as they are conventionally conceived in worldly dealings. And then the Agya Vritti Vritti, the ignorant, the understanding of ignorant persons whose consciousness is contracted. It's like the Sadharan Vritti Vritti, but the spectrum of understanding has been condensed, it's been contracted more, and that gives rise to their customs and their way of life. So these are the levels. So the general person who has not surrendered to Guru, whose ear has not been pierced, the karna bhed sanskar by transcendental sound, when they speak about Krishna, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, when they read the Shastra, they understand it according to Agyaruti Prati or Sadhanuruti Prati. And that is not the understanding of Shastra. And therefore it says, Yasha Devi Parabhakti Yatha Devi Tathaguru Tasyaiti Katita Yata Prakashante Mahatmana. The meaning of the Shastra is only apparent to those who are Sharanagat, fully surrendered. And the reason is this, that even if the speaker is realized, and from his heart the Shabda Brahma is coming, transcendental sound, it cannot be captured by a video. I apologize to everyone who's watching at home. It cannot be captured by a video or any kind of recording. It is only live in the vibration directly from the lips of pure devotees. Yetu todiya charanambu jakoshagandam jigranti karna vivaraishu tivati nitam. Lord Brahma has said that when your pure devotees speak, then those who are listening, jigranti karna vivarai, they smell the fragrance of your lotus feet carried on the air of the sound. In other words, when the pure realized person is speaking and a surrendered Sadguru is speaking and Satsishya is listening, then the Satsishya, when the sound touches him, he has a spurti of Sri Krishna and he can smell the fragrance of Krishna's lotus feet. So, now what happens is, even if the speaker is a realized devotee, like my Gurudev, like Prabhupada, like Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he's realized, but the listener is not surrendered, then when the Shabda Brahma comes and it's going to the ear, then it becomes intercepted. It becomes intercepted. The transmission is not clear. There's too much interference, too much static there. And so that is called the Mayika Vyavadan, the obstacle made by Maya. So when there is a Mayika Vyavadan due to the absence of Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadeksyante jnanam jnanas tattva-darshana. It doesn't say that the tattva-darshis, those who see the truth, can give you transcendental knowledge if we are not tadvidhi pranipat. That means in a state of constant prostration. We are psychologically in that mood of continuous prostration to our Guru and Supreme Lord. So that is called Pranipat Vritti. In our consciousness there is only Pranipat Vritti. Tadvidhi Pranipat Pariprashnena. We only have Pariprashna Vritti. That is inquiring. It means being absorbed in sadhan. Sadhan is the inquiry to the absolute truth. Atato Brahma Jigyasa. Our chanting, hearing, remembering, service, all of this is our question, inquiry. Kaha mora pranadana muraliva. Where is my pranadana, Krishna? So there should be pariprashna vritti and seva vritti, sevaya. So when there is nothing in the consciousness but pranipat vritti, the pariprashna vritti and seva vritti, only then will the sound enter. Otherwise, there's Mayika Vyavadan. There is an obstruction of Maya, and then the sound becomes refracted into four types of knowledge. Parischinna Gyan, Sankirn Gyan, Vikrita Gyan, and Vivartagrasta Gyan. So instead of receiving from Guru the transmission of the direct experience of the non-dual reality, Sri Krishna, the disciple receives Parischinna Gyan. Parischinna Gyan means pieces of information. He thought, okay, I stole some data and information, some Harikatha from this Vaishnava, now I'll take it and use it and become very popular. Impossible. You cannot steal, you cannot pick the pocket of Guru. Just like Ravan tried to steal away Sita, but he didn't take Sita. Sita is the goddess of fortune. Did he become fortunate? No, his entire Lanka city was burnt to the ground and he and all of his associates were all killed. So he didn't take Sita, he took Maya Sita. So in the same way, if you come to a Vaishnava without love, without affection, without surrender, without service, and we try to get knowledge, you will never get knowledge. You will get Prajnana Gyan, bits of information. And you can go and sell them in a marketplace of fools, because a genuine fool cannot tell the difference between the Shabda Brahma and material sound. But you will not realize anything and they will not realize anything. So Parishchina Gyan means that knowledge which is in parts, particles of information, which are concepts which are limited by time and space. So that's called Parishchina Gyan. The next type of Gyan is the Sankirn Gyan. Sankirn Gyan means contracted knowledge. For example, one may understand, oh, by practicing bhakti you get Prem. But what are the nuances of Prem, the details? In other words, the actual subject itself is not unpacked within your heart to see all the details. Just like if you have a map. The map is only symbolic. And it has, this place is here and this place is here. But when you actually go to that place, then there may be so many obstacles that you cannot see on the map. So in the same way, when we have Sankirn Gyan, some knowledge comes, but it is contracted. All the details are not expanded out. And it is also, the word Sankirn means contracted, and Sankirn also means mixed. In other words, there may be a little realization coming, but because one is not fully surrendered, it's mixed with material conceptions as well. Then the next type is called Vikrita Gyan, distorted. You have a completely distorted understanding. And the last one is Vivarta Gyan. One is completely bewildered. You take everything the opposite way. For example, if you hear that Krishna is dancing with other men's wives in the middle of the night, you think, oh, he's quite a, an irreligious, impious person. Huh? Because you have no foundation of understanding of the form of Krishna, that he is the non-dual reality. Everything that he does is completely pure. He's not even meeting with someone else. All these gopis are his own Hladini Shakti as manifest from his form. They're not different from him. It's like a child playing with his reflection in the mirror. It's not another person. So, if you take it, you're in Vivarta, you're completely bewildered by Maya, and you interpret Krishna's Leela according to that samskar, those impressions as well. And so, when there is a Sadguru and a Satsishya, then there is the pure transmission of Shabda Brahma, which gives the direct realization, Sakshat Darshan, direct realization of the truth. And even if the guru is qualified, but the disciple is not completely surrendered, then he will receive these four types of compromised knowledge: Parishchina Gyan, Sankirn Gyan, Vikrita Gyan, and Vivartagrasta Gyan. And then that disciple gives to the next generation. Now this becomes an Apasampradaya. All Apasampradayas have their roots in the incomplete transmission of Shabda Brahman. Understand? So, the meaning of hearing, just to complete for today, because we promised we'd explain what does Sravanam mean. Hearing. It means that the Sadguru, pure Vaishnava, he has realization of the Vastava Satta Shuddha. Vastava Satta Shuddha. Vastava Satta means the eternal unchanging existence. And it is a Shuddha, nectar. That realization of the eternal nectar appears on the lips of Sri Guru in the form of a Sanjivani Dhara. That means a life-giving current of transcendental sound, because all the living entities are in this world, the bodies and minds are activated by Rajagun, but the Atma is in like a coma. So the Sanjivani Dhara of the Vastava Satta Shuddha flows from the lips of Sri Guru with an Avimishra Bhav. That means a bhav, a love for Krishna, which is not mixed with anything worldly, with Aviv Mishra Bhav. Then the disciple, who is the Seva Snigdha Shishya, The Sishya, who is a Seva Snigdha, he's very soft, he's very compliant, he's completely malleable to the will of Guru and absorbed in service. So he's a Seva Snigdha Sishya, full of affection. That disciple's ears are like Anjali, like hands begging for nectar. So when the Seva Snigdha Sishya receives the Sanjivani Dhara from the lips of Guru through his ears, which are like Anjali begging, then it enters into the Vishuddha Hridayakash, to the sky of the heart of that disciple, and is manifest there. And he sees Vrindavan. He sees Sri Krishna and their associates. And that is called Sravanam. And when that methodology of, that epistemology, that method of receiving knowledge is called Strotapanta. Strotapanta. And where the Strotapanta is intact, that is called Sat Sampradaya. Eternal bona fide Sampradaya. And if there is any Maika Vyavadan, any impediment to that, a parampara can go on, a Guru parampara can go on. But Yogo Nashta Parantapa. It seems that this line is there, but really it's not there. Therefore, at the beginning of the class, we discussed this point. Siddhanta Bolia Chite Nakro Alas. Don't be lazy. Try to understand Siddhanta, otherwise you'll receive something else. And if we do receive real Siddhanta, then Jahoite Krishna Lagi Sudrida Manas. The mind will become Sudrida. Very, very firm, unmovable. Only those who have a Sudrida Manas, they can do bhajan. Yesham Twantakatam Papam Jananam Punya Karmanam Te Dvandva Moha Nirmukta Bhajanti Mam Bheda-abheda-tattva. Those who are Sudrida Manas, they can do bhajan Dridamata, with firm determination. But who are they? Yesham Twantakatam Papam. All their sins have been destroyed. They're free from pap. They have no the misbehavior in their life. And the samskars of the sins have already been in the heart. The papa beej have been destroyed also. Jananam punya karmanam, not only in this life, but from the previous life. They've done punya karma. Here punya karma, the pious activity, is not the shubha karma of this world. Here their punya karma is sadhu sangha. They've associated with pure Vaishnavas. And by hearing from them, te dvandva moha nirmukta. They've become liberated from dvandva. In other words, they've received advai gyan. There are only two things, advai and dvai. Whatever is not the non-perception of the non-dual reality is dvandva, that is maya. Don't think that you can be in dualistic consciousness and this is maya, this is not maya. It's all maya. Only the direct experience of the Advai Gyan is not maya. If you think that something which is not the direct experience of the Advai Gyan is not maya, that is called a Prakrita Bhakta. He's a devotee, but he himself and his whole practice, his whole Prakrita, his whole conception, even his conception of transcendence is Prakrita. So Krishna says, Te dvandva moha nirmukta. That person now, he is free from the dualities. Bhajanti mam bheda-abheda-tattva. And he's serving me with firm determination. He's doing actual bhajan. God Premanande Hari Hari Bol. That is the meaning of Sravanam, Srotapanta and Satsampradaya. So we'll complete there. Are there any questions? Yes, Siddhahari.
Yes.
Siddhahari Prabhu. Yes. What's your question, Prabhu?
I have two questions. The first one is that you mentioned sometime during the talk that if somebody who's listening on the video is not necessarily getting the of the Brahman because the Quran transfer has to be heard through the lips. So I want to understand that many of our gurus like Srila Prabhupada, Srimad Bhaktivedanta Maharaj, they were traveling a lot. They initiated many disciples, and they were emphasizing that you can know about me through my books. That's how you can know about me. So, what is your understanding that how do they want the knowledge to be transferred to their disciples? Because many of them are very new in Krishna consciousness.
Yes.
And they received, you can say, the whole gift from their gurus when they first met him. So,
Yes.
how do you understand what was their vision? How will their disciples grow and mature in Krishna consciousness?
First, Durapa alpatapasa, Seva Vaikuntha Vatmasu, Yatropagiyate Nityam Deva Deva Janardana. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met with Ramananda Rai, Ramananda Rai asked him, please stay here for some days with me. Mahaprabhu said, no. When I go back to Puri, you should retire from your government responsibilities and come and stay with me in Puri, and we'll have Harikatha together for our whole life. Why only a few days? So Ramananda Rai, he gave up his position as the governor of Madras, and he retired and he came to Jagannath Puri and he stayed. And when Mahaprabhu came and met with him, he said, Durapa alpatapasa. This is a verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. It means those whose austerities, Durapa alpatapasa, it's very difficult for them to get sadhu sangha. Durapa, it's very rare. Those who like comfort, those who like to be in their comfort zone. Yes, very nice. I have a nice bed and good AC and central heating and everything. Those who are attached to their comfort, it's very hard and very rare for them to get sadhu sangha. So Durapa alpatapasa seva vaikuntha vatmasu. It's very difficult for such persons who are attached to their worldly comforts to have the company of those who are on the path going to the Golok Vrindavan, to the spiritual world. Here Vaikuntha means beyond Vaikuntha for the Raganuga Bhaktas. So sadhu sangha is very precious, very rare. You see? But sadhu sangha sarva shastra koi lavamatra sadhu sangha sarva. All perfection comes from sadhu sangha. And that sadhu sangha should go on for a long time. It should continue. You know the verse, satam prasangan mama virya samvido. So Shraddha, Rati, Bhakti, Anukramisyati means in a sequence. You have to go through the stages in sadhu sangha, the stages. First Shraddha, that means through the stage of sadhan, and then Rati means through the stage of bhav, and then to prem. And even when you get prem, sadhu sangha is still necessary. It's always necessary. All the angas of bhakti are eternal. So if you have a little association, you can get all perfection. But that means in that moment, you get perfection in that moment. If you don't get perfection in that moment, you need to associate again. Understand? So that moment, that lava matra is like we were discussing the other day, that Jana Sharma, he met with Gop Kumar. And Gop Kumar just blessed him. And he just felt himself going through the coverings of the universe. And then he was in Golok Vrindavan, in his swarup, face to face with his guru in his spiritual form. That's lava matra. Boom! Straight to Golok Vrindavan. But most people are not qualified for that. They have a history of offenses and so on, and are nartas. So it will have to be a step-by-step process. So sadhu sangha should be again and again. Swarup Damodar said, Chaitanyera bhakta gan nitya karo sangha. Tabito janibe samudra visha. What is it? Tabito janibe siddhanta samudra taranga. Associate every day with the near and dear intimate associates of Mahaprabhu. Tabito janibe siddhanta samudra taranga. And then you'll enter into the waves in the ocean of Siddhanta. Siddhanta is an ocean. And even it's not still. It's moving. We think Siddhanta is like this fixed list of concepts. But actually there's a Siddhanta for when you're in the Kanishta stage, when you're in the Madhyam stage, in the Uttam stage. So we need association so that as we progress, our adhikar changes, then we get a higher instruction. And then an adhikar will develop, and then we get another sadhu sangha, and higher, like this. So it goes on like this. So Srila Prabhupada and my Gurudev and others, they never said you can understand everything by reading. They said you must study. But Sava Shastrakai, all the scriptures are saying when you read, then you read, oh, I need sadhu sangha. That's what the study, and that's what you find out the scriptures are saying. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. So, the thing is this, that because it's not comfortable, because it's inconvenient, and because we're attached, and because there are thousands and thousands of persons attached to their comfort, they're not ready to sacrifice their life completely, leaving everything, and because it's very difficult to be with a sadhu for a long time. Like Raghunath Das Goswami, what did he do? In the middle of the night, he ran away and he went to Puri. He was with the Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Rai Swami. When they passed away, then he left there, he went to go and be with Rupa and Sanatan. It was my experience also as a boy. I left everything and lived with Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj. When he passed away, I left them. Sleeping on the floor outside the door of my Gurudev. For years and years. When he left, I was with the Fakir Mohan Prabhu, you know the great Fakir Mohan Prabhu. With Fakir Mohan Prabhu, Vishnuji Shastri, Achutala, my whole life, always in Sadhu Sangha. Like this. But it's inconvenient. So what we should do is, if there's a situation and it's inconvenient, what we have to do is change the Siddhanta so everyone can feel comfortable and happy. Right? Is it right? Is it right? So this is the thing that when I'm speaking, you excuse me if you feel I'm saying things which are like shocking, or you didn't hear before, or something new. Because we cannot always stay in the same stage. We have to hear certain katha. Chant Hare Krishna and be happy. 16 rounds, go back home, back to Godhead. Read my books, and there's a stage we have to read. But if we want to enter into Madhyam Adhikar, there's a katha for the Madhyam Adhikaris. And it's a little bit more demanding, it's a little more challenging. And then there's a katha for we're discussing today, there's a katha for the Madhyam Adhikaris. But the Rasa katha is the katha for the Uttam, the Madhyam Bhagavats and the Uttam Bhagavats. So there are different levels of katha according to our stage. So, but Srimad Bhagavatam says this. Srimad Bhagavatam Puranamalam Yad Vaishnavanam Priyam Yasmin Paramhamsa Ekalavam Tatra Jnanam Param Giyate Tatra Jnana Viraga Bhakti Saitam Naiskama Avishtuktam Tat Shrinvam Supatan Vicharana Paro Bhaktya Vimuchendara. 12th canto. Tat Shrinvam. First hear it. Then Supatan. Pat means reading. What does Supat mean? Beautiful reading. The reading that you do after hearing is beautiful because it's properly adjusted. When we hear first from a pure Vaishnava, they give us the sanskar, the impressions of the subject matter. Then when we read it, that sanskar is awakened and we relish it and we go into it more deeply. So the reading which is done after hearing is beautiful. Otherwise, it's Sravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smarana, Padasena, Achalam, Varna, Dasam, Sakra, Atmi, Nivedha. Where's reading? There,
This is Sravanam is reading because you're reading the written word of the Acharya.
That is Sravanam. You are reciting, you're hearing yourself. So what is the quality of your sound? Is it transcendental sound or not? If there's no realization, it will not be transcendental sound. So, everyone should be encouraged. The acharyas and gurus, they give encouragements to the neophyte devotees that they'll start the path according to their capacity. If you give someone too much, they'll be broken. So instruction has to be given that they can do and they begin the process. So, we see that in Srimad Bhagavatam, in the first canto, Shonika Rishi and the sages are in Naimisharanya. And they're thinking, what can we do? So they decided, let's all read books. Wait a minute, no, that didn't happen. Wait a minute, I got it wrong. So they decided, let's find out who's the eldest, most senior learned Vedantist amongst us and listen to him. Vaitatvam somya tat sarvan tatpatastad anugrahat proyusis asasishasya guruvo goyam apiyata. They said, Vaitatvam somya tat sarvam. Oh, we know, oh Sutta Goswami, we know that you have transcendental knowledge. Why? Because you are a very affectionate disciple of your Guru, Shukadev Goswami. Guyam. So we know that he must have instructed you in confidential knowledge. So we want to hear from you. So they all took shelter and they listened to it. Plus they're like Bhajan Shiksha Guru. So then Sutta Goswami began to speak and he began to explain that Vyasadeva, what to speak, we also read the books. Vyasadeva wrote all the books and even he was dissatisfied. Not reading. The person who wrote them all was feeling dissatisfied. How did he overcome his dissatisfaction?
He heard from Narada Muni and wrote Bhagavatam again.
Narada Muni came and he heard from Narad. And by hearing from Narad, he went into trance. You see? So that's called Narad Vyasamvad. And then the Bhagavatam begins and then we hear about Parikshit Maharaj. He has 7 days left to live. So he went on the bank of the Ganges. He asked the sage, what should I do? And they told him, read books. Wait a minute. No, they didn't say that. That didn't happen. So he decided he would listen from the lips of Shukadev Goswami. And then Shukadev Goswami began to speak and he described how Uddhav was going from the Prabhas and he was on his way to Badrik Ashram, and on the way on the bank of the Jamuna, there he met with Vidura. And he had a message for Vidura, some teachings that should be given to Vidura. And he said, here's a book, read this. No, that didn't happen. He said, you should listen to Maitreya Rishi. Right? And so then there's a conversation, Maitreya and Vidura, 3rd canto. So in this way, every step of Srimad Bhagavatam is the Srotapanta. Srotapanta is descending through the hearing process everywhere. And the books stay there to remind us what we have heard. So books are important. My whole life I've been translating and publishing books. That was my service to my Gurudev, and I continue with that service today. So books are very, very important. But once Ramakrishna Goswami, he asked Srila Prabhupada, can we understand your books by reading them? Prabhupada said, no, you have to hear from a person who knows the subject. And he said, but your purpose, explain. So can we hear them? Can we understand by reading your purports? Because you know the subject. Prabhupada said, no, you have to understand by hearing. Then Ramakrishna Maharaj said, but why? Why can't we just read? And then Srila Prabhupada grabbed him by the ear and twisted his ear. He said, because the book won't do this. You see, a guru is called Karnadhara. One who, because when you read, if you misunderstand something, the book will not correct you. But guru will catch you by the ear and correct, like this. So Srinvatam Swat Kata Krishna, tell us. Yes, then? Nasta Prayasha. Nityam Bhagavata Seva, what does it mean?
Always hear Bhagavatam. Always serve the Bhagavatam.
What's the meaning of the word Bhagavatam?
What's the meaning of the word Bhagavatam?
Bhagavatam, what does it mean? Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya.
Serve the Bhagavatam devotee or the Bhagavatam book?
There are two. You see in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishna's Kaviraj says, oh, what is the mercy of Gaur-Nitai? Dui bhaya ridiya rakshalyandaka, dui bhakavat sange karna sakshatka. Just as in a room, there are some tables and chairs and pots. In the dark, you cannot see. But when a light comes, then you can see this is a table, this is a chair, this is a pot. So in the same way, dui bhaya ridiya rakshalyandaka. When we serve Gaur-Nitai and get their mercy, then they illuminate the heart. Dui bhagavat sange karna sakshatkar. And they cause us to recognize and meet Dui Bhagavata Sange Karna Sakshatkar. To recognize two types of Bhagavats. Eka Bhagavata Bada Bhakti Rasa Shastra Ara Bhagavata Bhakta Bhakti Rasapatra. Next verse. One of the Bhagavats is the book Bhagavat, which is the great scripture, the greatest of all scriptures. Because there are many, there are 4 Vaishnava Sampradayas, but in other Vaishnava Sampradayas, they think Vishnu Purana is great, Padma Purana is great. They don't necessarily recognize that the Srimad Bhagavatam is Krishna Bhakti Rasa Swarupa, and it is head and shoulders and miles higher than any other scripture. It is something, the Tatparya of Srimad Bhagavatam is Radha Dasyam, and the glories of Radharani are there in every page. But they don't know. So when you get the mercy of Gaunitai, then you recognize this Bhagavatam is something else. Kimva parayarishvara, what's the need of any other scripture? Tad rasamrita triptasya nanyat sadhya kochit. One who's tasted the rasamrita of Bhagavatam, he cannot be satisfied with anything else. So, first mercy of Gaunitai is to recognize the exalted position of Srimad Bhagavatam and Ara Bhagavata Bhakta Bhakti Rasa Bhakta, and recognize who is the Bhakta Bhagavat. Without mercy of Gaunitai, we cannot. There are many devotees, and we respect everyone, but not every devotee is Bhakta Bhagavat. That means the Vaishnava who has realized in trance Srimad Bhagavatam, all the verses of Srimad Bhagavatam are living in his throat and saying, me. They want to jump out when he opens his mouth. Want to jump out at every moment. Harikatha is flowing in rivers in all directions. Tasmin mahan mukarita barubich charitra piyusha shesha sharita parita shravanti. So the Bhakta Bhagavat, that means that Vaishnava who is the living, walking, breathing, singing, dancing embodiment of all the bhavs of Srimad Bhagavatam. The general persons they can recognize, and they don't have even the good fortune to meet such a person. But when the mercy of Gaunitai comes to us, then this kripa illuminates our heart, and we see, this is the book, very special. And this Vaishnava is Bhakta Bhagavat. So in the next verse, Krishna, have you read Chaitanya Charitamrita?
I'm trying to.
Yes, sir. My Gurudev used to say, reading and forgetting is not reading. When you read and it goes in and stays and lives with you, this is reading. So then Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, Ei dui dwari diya bhakti ras tahara hridaya tara prema hayavash. Then, through the action of these 2 Bhagavats together, then the mellows of prema, the prema ras is infused into the heart of the disciple. And then see Krishna comes under the control of that rasa in the heart of the devotee. Krishna comes under his control. Sadhurityavarudataya triktibis susrusibis tatchanat. So this is always the process, eternal process. Once I was publishing a book for Srila Gaura Govinda Maharaj. So I transcribed many, this book is called The Embankment of Separation.
Yes.
Yeah.
I read the article also about you and how there's another one devotee, Vaga Pandit, you were working together in the room. He used to laugh. Love you. You closed your room and you were like working on it for many days.
What's that? I had never seen that article.
What is that true?
It's true, yes, but I didn't know that there was anything written about it. Yeah, so yes, working together with Raghu Pandit, and so what happened, we went to print. We flew from Orissa
It's one of my favorite book. I love that book.
To Malaysia to print. It was a great adventure making the book. So anyway, when I wrote the introduction also and the epilogue to the book as well, but it's anonymous. I didn't put the name anywhere there. But when I wrote that, I came and I gave it to Srila Gaura Govinda Maharaj to check it, that he was satisfied that this was suitable to be part of his book. And there was something that he said in a lecture, and he gave some reference, and it was connected to the Sarangaranga Datika, the commentary of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami on Bilvamangal Thakur's Krishna Karnamrita. And I said, should I add this? Because we didn't take one lecture. There were many lectures that he gave. Sometimes he would give the same class on different occasions. So I transcribed, and Raghavan also transcribed the same class given on different days. But on different days he would give different details. And then we blended it and merged it into one that would have all of the details. So then I asked him about, should I put this in here? He said, no, don't. I said, but people will have questions. He said, yes, let them have questions. This is the purpose of the book. That by reading the book, the person will think, well, what does that mean? And then they'll think, I have to find a sadhu who will teach me. So Srila Gauranga directly told me, the purpose of the book is to create the interest, to search out the sadhu who will explain the deep meaning. You know that hearing Srimad Bhagavatam is among the angas of bhakti. I think it's the 51st anga. So, Srimad Bhagavatartanam Asvado Rasikai Saha. One should taste the many meanings of each word of Srimad Bhagavatam in the association of Rasik Vaishnavas. That's the exact description of the anger of bhakti studying Srimad Bhagavatam. So Damodar Goswami said to remember the Brahmin came from Bengal. He wanted to read his poetry to Mahaprabhu, but there's a security screening. They have to go through Mahaprabhu's secretary first. So he read these poetry to Swarup Damodar Goswami. Mahaprabhu will become angry if there's any rasabasa or apasiddhanta. Rasabasa jadi hoye siddhanta virod. Sahite na pare prabhu mani hoy krod. Mahaprabhu's trinada pisunichana moham more than a blade of grass. But if you will hear apasiddhanta or rasabas, it becomes angry. This anger is not from the mode of passion and ignorance. This is divine. It's a transcendental emotion. He cannot tolerate the rasabas or apasiddhanta. So Damodar Goswami said, Yaha Bhagavata Pada Vaishnavera. This is the verse you should learn today. Say, Yaha Bhagavata Pada Vaishnavera Sthane.
Yaha Bhagavata Pada Vaishnavera Sthane.
Yes. Yaha Bhagavata Pada. Go read Bhagavatam where? Vaishnavera Sthane. At the feet of a Vaishnava. Jaha Bhagavata Pada Vaishnavera Sthane Ekanta Astray Karo Chaitanya Charane. And take complete shelter of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because only the Vaishnavas in his line can actually reveal the depth of Srimad Bhagavatam. Other lines, they also have some realization of Srimad Bhagavatam, but the profound depth, because it's the glories of Radhika. Only when Radhika and Krishna combine in the form of Mahaprabhu and come to this world, then the true depth of Srimad Bhagavatam can be revealed. So this is your verse for the day. Yaha Bhagavata Pada Vaishnavera Sthane Ekantara Srai Karo Chaitanya Charane Chaitanyera Bhakta Gana Nitya Karo Sangha Tabito Janibe Siddhanta Samudra Taranga. That's the next verse. And if you associate with such Vaishnavas every day, then gradually one can enter into the ocean of Siddhanta. Like this. So, books are very important. We should study them carefully. But if you want to progress further and further in our spiritual life, we'll have to have regular association with pure devotees. And it's difficult. It requires some surrender and sacrifice in our life to have lots of association. But Vaishnavas are very kind. Mahat vichalam rinam grihinam dina chetasam nisrayasaya bhagavan kalpate nanyata kuchit. Who spoke the verse? Nanda Baba, Krishna's father. When Gargacharya came to Braj, on the request of Vasudev Maharaj to make the horoscope of baby Krishna after he was born, then very humbly, Nanda Maharaj, he said, Mahat Vichalanam Rinam Grihinam Jina Chejasam. Mahat, the great Vaishnavas like you are always wandering around the world. Grihinam Dina Chejasam. And you come to the homes of the household devotees who are Dina Chetasa, in very low consciousness. Doesn't mean that every grihastha is in low consciousness. Gargacharya himself is Mahat, but he's also a householder. But the meaning is this, that when the sadhu comes to you, if you have pride, you cannot hear. Only the householders who think, I am Dina Chetasa. I have very low consciousness, can get the benefit from a sadhu when they're wandering here and there. And why are they wandering? Nisreyasaya, Bhagavan. Nisreyasa means for the purpose of sreya, not prayers. There's two things, sreyas and prayers. So prayer means immediate gratification. And sreya means our ultimate supreme benefit. So Nisreyasaya Bhagavan. One should never imagine in his mind for 1 second that the sadhus are wandering here and there for some ulterior motive. To make disciples, to make money, to get fame or whatever. There's no worldly motive. It's only Nishreyasaya, to uplift the jivas, to give them a chance. Because they are stuck in the dark well of the material world without sadhu sangha. So if they will not go, leave everything and tishtam brajeta anuragi jananugami, then being under the control of the Kripa Shakti of the Supreme Lord, the sadhus, they will go from Vrindavan and wander everywhere to bring some upliftment and benefit. And slowly, slowly, 1 life, 2 lives, 3 lives, and then we can become like Raghunath Das Goswami. Chaktva Chornam Ashesha Mandalapati Shrenim Sadatutvat Bhutva Dina Gadeshiko Karanayako Pena Kantashito Gopi Bhavara Samritabdi Lahari Kalola Magnomo Vande Rupa Salatano Rakujago Shri Jiva Gopalako Gaur Premanande.
Sadhu, sadhu.
So we'll sing just little kirtan to complete and then breakfast will be served.
As you were speaking, I was remembering that pastime with Srila Maharaj. You told me that many years ago, and then I'm so happy that you brought it up again.
There are things, how to do bhajan, how to practice everything. Without sadhu sangha, being close with the pure Vaishnava, we cannot learn. Because there's something even which is not expressed in words.
What about they say also about like service and separation and like you're supposed to serve the mission?
Yes. Yes, in separation, what is left? What is left? Yesterday we were discussing that the preaching of a pure Vaishnava, it's primarily because his guru told him to do it. It's done. It's not primarily for the persons of the world. It is primarily out of love for his guru. And because when that devotee was young, he was serving his guru for many years, and guru was preaching all the time. So when Gurudev leaves this world, becomes unmanifest, then the disciple, out of separation, he cannot stop. He's still doing that. So the preaching of a pure Vaishnava is his separation from Gurudev. But we should not make a philosophy that in those times when we are unfortunate and we don't have sadhu sangha, one should serve as much as he can in separation. Don't make that into philosophy. That sadhu sangha is not necessary or important. Because that's the exact opposite of what all the scriptures say. Everywhere. We were mentioning also the other day, Uddhavji has prayed, Asam Aho Charanarenu Dushamahamsa. I will be fortunate if I could become a blade of grass in Vrindavan. So what's the teaching here? When he was living in Mathura, he was happy. He never cried and thought, I would be lucky if I could become a blade of grass. He was fine being, a member of the royal family in the Yadu dynasty. So the teaching of this verse is, how did he go from being happy and a member of the royal family in his comfortable palace in Mathura to crying and just wanting to be a blade of grass in Vrindavan? Sadhu Sangha. It would never have happened if he did not have the association of breath. That's why Krishna sent him there. He's thinking, I'm the messenger, I'm bringing the messages. Krishna sent him there for him to study in the school of Prem. Krishna had other motives as well, because Krishna is a genius. He can fulfill many purposes with one action. But in regard to Uddhav, it was for Uddhav to try to enroll in the University of Prem. Radharani is the principal. And Lalita is the head of the department. But Uddhav, he failed the entrance exam and he had to go back to Mathura. He failed the entrance exam in the school of Prem. So he couldn't stay, he had to return. So even everywhere, if one has a vision, sadhu sangha everywhere is glorified. Super inconvenient. What will happen if everyone goes crazy? Leaves everything.
Can you say that in that regard, this modern technology is giving an illusion because people think now they can conveniently hear from their homes.
Absolutely.
And then they're not really seeking satsanga because I can turn this YouTube channel on, or this Facebook channel on, and hear Prayojan Prabhu, this Maharaj, that Maharaj,
Yes.
that lecture. And in that regard, thinking we get satsanga.
Yes,
It's not getting satsanga.
Yes. Of course.
Just like
I know of many persons around the world, they're listening to all my videos, but they're afraid they will not come to me because, what will happen to me if I go there? Then I'll be in trouble. No, I'll lose my followers. I'll lose my position. So yes, Maya has many tricks and traps.